welcome. I'm Shannon from veryshannon.com, and this is the how to do the Purl Twist stitch for the Kapsel Cardigan. I'm assuming that you have the pattern and you are looking to get a little bit of visual instruction on how to do this really fun textured stitch. So I'm going to assume that you've already done row 1, which is basically to just knit across. And now we will be on row 2, which will be the wrong side of your work. And you're going to start with the stitch called P2 together dash P1. Now all this stitch really is a basic purl 2 together and a P1, which is a purl 1. But the difference is we're not purling 2 together and then moving on to the next stitch and purling 1. We're going to purl 2 together and keep that stitch on our left hand needle, and we're going to purl 1 into it again before we move it back onto the right hand needle. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. And also, just so you guys know, you'll see obviously too, but I'm a thrower, not a picker, so if you knit continental, you will, your stitch will look a little bit different. So I'm going to go into the first 2 stitches and I'm going to purl 2 together, and then you really want to watch where you're working this purl 1. So if you can see, I've purled 2 together and I've got my stitch over here, and now instead of slipping these 2 off of my left hand needle like you would normally do, we're going to purl 1 into this first stitch again. So basically this ends up not being a decrease. You end up keeping your stitch count exactly the same. But the thing you want to watch for tension wise in regards to your gauge, and we've gone over this if you've read the Kapsel help page and your pattern, is that you really want to watch that your tension is comfortable and even, and you want to work that first stitch that's a purl 1 not here in the very tip of your needle, but a little bit farther back so that you're getting the full size of the needle circumference. So if you were to purl, I have to sit at a weird angle to film this, so bear with me. I'm going to try to turn so you can see this. So if you purl 2 together and then slide that right down and do you purl 1 here, you're going to get a tighter stitch, and that will in the end affect your row gauge, which can be a little tricky for some without getting used to the stitch. So you want to make sure you purl 2 together and just kind of give it a little slide back a little on your needle, and then do your normal purl 1, slide that off. So you're going to work that basically all the way across your row, and the more you do it, the more comfortable this gets, and you will not look as awkward as I do sitting half turned at a table trying to get the right camera angle. I'm home alone, so this is the best that I think we're gonna get with my little tripod stand here today. I also want to point out that when you are reading your work on the right side, you'll notice that you can see these diagonal lines working across the camera, working across your swatch or your sweater, not the camera, Shannon. And so you can read your work if you do lose track of what row you're on, because we're gonna, after we're finished this row, we're going to be knitting again and then doing row 4, which is purl 1. Then you P2 together P1 across the end of the row. So that purl 1 at the very beginning of row 4 is only worked once at the very start, and all this does is allows us to shift that diagonal over 1 more. So if you're looking here and you're not sure where to start next, you know that these 2 need to be worked together to allow that line to continue to lean to the right. So at the start of the row, you can usually tell which way you need to start if you do lose track of your work. I'll do a few more here just so that you guys can get hopefully a good look at this. I'm gonna move in my squeaky chair. So I'm purling 2 together, and instead of slipping that stitch, these stitches off of my left-hand needle, I'm going to leave them on there, make sure they're at the full circumference of my needle, and I will P1, purl 1 into that first stitch one more time. And that's it. You repeat that across the row. And you get this pretty soft fabric that we want to make sure that you have enough comfort level when you're holding your stitches that you get a really nice drape, and you should be able to see a little bit through your fabric. You don't want it to be super dense and stiff. Thanks so much, and I hope you enjoy the Kapsel cardigan. And keep watching if you're interested to see how to work our German short rows in this stitch, and also to resolve the German short rows in the Purl Twist stitch. Thanks so much for your support. Happy knitting!